All right, I think we're live.
All right, you think you're live? I heard that you got a little antsy. You were looking forward to the show tonight, JT, and you started streaming a little bit earlier.
Yeah, okay.
So
So I was actually trying to, like I was trying to see if cuz remember last time I was trying to draw for film and the program kept freezing and the stream kept dying. So what I tried to do this time was create a test stream and see if I can draw it and see if it would crash. And funnily enough, so I made a test stream. I made a private test stream on our channel, and I streamed to that. And I was like, this is a pretty good test, except it could be better if I was streaming to multiple places at the same time, because that's really what we're gonna do when we go live. Is we're gonna be streaming to two channels. Not realizing that when I hit this button, I had it automatically start streaming to the Bama Standard. So I did test that I could draw and erase without killing the stream because I was inadvertently streaming to the Bama Standard. So
well, there you go. And so that's good. A little precursor about what's going to be happening. So we're going to be showing some plays from this Alabama Oklahoma game, and JT got his tool ready to work where he can actually draw once again. So thank you to the Bama Standard for allowing us to share the network as well. We teased that a little bit earlier when we had a great, lively conversation with Mr. Marvin Constant. If you haven't watched that, go back and watch it because we tend to agree, but sometimes we disagree. And, Marvin can get the way that he is, JT. And so we had a little bit of words going on there with him and Mr. Petty and Justin, but it was a lively debate about it and how we feel about offense and defense and where we're at and what the rest of the outlook looks like for the season. So maybe we can talk about that a little bit today as well. So before we do any of that, make sure you're hitting the subscribe, the like button, sharing where you can get great information like this from us. So we would definitely appreciate that because we love to do this week in and week out. So we're going to go ahead and get started with Teague's Take right now. So we were having this discussion a little bit earlier, and I want to pose this question to you: of if you're a head coach and you're new to the team, should you just implement your scheme and roll with it, or do you try to first build a scheme that's built around the players that you have? Is the question, and that came up a little bit earlier.
mm,
I'm on the side of, I think you have philosophies as a coach that you want to be able to do certain things because you believe in it, you think it works or whatever. But in the beginning, I think you have to do try to play to some of the strengths of the people that you actually inherit, even though it might not be your total philosophy. So I say that because maybe JT can bring about it. He's has coached at JP2 for many years, even when I wasn't coaching there. But now that I'm back in it, we had to make a decision of, hey, what kind of offense are we going to run, defense we're going to run, based on the personnel we have and what strengths do we have. So, although I know what I want to run, you still have to call things to put guys in the most successful position. So the debate became, is Alabama doing what's best with the people that Alabama has, or are we going to evolve into something else once he gets all of his guys? He has 3 or 4 years of recruitment. I'm curious to see how you think about that, and I'm curious to see how our co-host thinks about that. So let's go ahead and bring in Mr. James Teague, the the analytical one, the guy behind all the screens and all the flashy lights and all this kind of stuff. Man, I love our screen. I really do. I think this is one of the best things we did when we made this upgrade on our stuff, even though it didn't fit all your specs the way that
It
you
did
need to
not.
have 16, you know.
We made it work though.
So, here we are. But what do you think about that, JT? In general, put it both
Okay.
of because we're dealing with our team, right? We got a quarterback
Well,
that maybe
I'm glad you asked this question because I know it's a little bit different at the high school level because you can't just like you got who you got, right? You don't just get to go and find a whole bunch of people and change it all. But um, I was in the unique position of taking over as a defensive coordinator on, I want to say, July 24th of 2022, and camp started on like August 1st.
all right.
If I remember correctly, I had like 10 days, something like that. Um, and I was not planning on doing that at all. As a matter of fact, I had told Coach that I would do it only if he ran a search, and I was literally the last person on planet Earth that would do it. And that's how I ended up getting it. So the first year, I tried to just run what we had been running. Um, I thought I knew it well enough. Um, Long story short, turns out I didn't. I knew what everybody was supposed to do and all that kind of stuff. I understood the front. I understood the coverages in terms of what are you supposed to do on a given call. And then I changed a little bit of terminology just to make it easier to process for me as a person who had to call the plays. Um, but what I learned from that year, because we did not do a very great job. But what I learned from that year was trying to run somebody else's system, even though you think you know it, does have its merits on the players already kind of know what you're trying to get accomplished. However, when things start to go wrong, because it's not your system, you don't have answers. So you think about like adjustments, like what adjustment we're going to make to this. And they're like, well, I don't know. I mean, I know what everybody's supposed to do, but this is not my system. I don't know how to pull the levers and things to um, fit within the system to be able to solve problems. And I think that is ultimately what coordinators are supposed to do is solve problems.
Oh, all right.
So that after that year, I went back to the drawing board and came up with my own system. And I shouldn't say came up. As I just read from another coach today, um, good coaches copy, great coaches steal. Um, I stole, so that's. But I understood it. It made sense to me. It fit my personality and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to play. Um, and I think we were a lot better off for that. Now, that also means that although I may want to run certain coverages and do certain things, and there may be other instances where we just can't get that accomplished. Maybe we need to go from a 4 down to a 3 down one year. I don't know. Maybe we just don't have enough. We don't have enough defensive linemen or whatever. Um, I think a good system allows you to do that, where your rules and how you teach things allow you to adapt from a 3 down team to a 4 down team or vice versa, or a cover 4 team to a cover 3 to a cover 1, whatever you need to do, however you need to solve it. Um, I think if a good system allows you to do that. So if you are taking over a new program and you want to bring in your own system, I think that's fine. And I think I would go so far as to say that you should start implementing your system. But as you said, you should also try to play to the strengths of your personnel and the players that you have. And if your system is good, you should be able to do that with your system. Your system is not so good and too rigid, and saying, well, we can only run our offense if we have a mobile quarterback. I don't
Right.
think that's a very good system. And I'm not saying that that applies to anybody. I guess if the shoe fits, wear it. But um, if you've got an offense that says, hey, we just can't function without a mobile quarterback, then I think your system is not a very good system. In
Well, what
general,
about not having a running game? That's what we're trying to get to in this Alabama thing. You got a system of what style of running you want to do. So,
yeah, I mean, and I think that is part of it. If you are you should have a system. To me, this is my opinion. You should have a system to where you show up and you say, "Hey, maybe I like to run gap scheme. I like to run my powers and my counters and my buck sweeps or whatever." And you get there and you're like, "Well, we just can't do that. It ain't very good. The running backs can't see it. Linemen can't run it. Whatever it is." And you need to be able to, in your system, be able to just say, okay, we're going to be a zone team. We're going to run inside zone, split zone, wide zone, outside zone, or whatever. And be able to function doing that. And then until you build up what you need to build up to get back to the way that you would prefer to run things. Right. I think that's the way that you got to go about it. I don't think that you should be coming into a new program and then like trying to copy the playbook. Maybe you can keep some terminology around that may be the same that people are used to kind of ease that transition. But you know, your system should allow you to do both. And I know from playing college myself on the offensive side of the ball, there were some years where we didn't run anything but inside zone. And I don't know what the difference between inside zone and middle zone is, but we ran Iowa, Indiana, Montana, and Missouri a ton. That's all we ran as far as uh, run plays. So middle and inside zone. And then the next year, we would run Alabama, Arkansas, and the Dakotas and Delawares, which was dart and power, like 80% of the time. And every now and then we might get an inside zone or an outside zone. Same coaching staff, different players, different group of linemen, and it all gelled together. And I'm sure he's at Eastern Michigan now, and they're probably doing maybe more of a mixture of both now that they're a G5 school, much bigger, more money, all that kind of stuff. They probably can do a little bit more of all of those things. Um, so I guess that's a long way of saying you should put your thumbprint on it, but your system should be able to adapt to the players that you have at all times, even if you go from uh, small Division II school all the way up to Power Five.
okay. So, last question, building off of that, and I concur with what JT has said. So, when a coach comes into this, because you said it right at the beginning, hey, it's a little bit different than high school and college, where you kind of got your guys who you're going to have in high school, and college you can go recruit. So now with this portal and different things, are we going to see more of what prime time kind of did? Hey, I'm getting to my system right away. Everybody's out. I'm going to go ahead and get my guys, run the system, know what I want to run. Is that how much is that going to hurt people? Or is it going to be more like that?
So,
Hey, I
so you
don't have
mean
much time. I don't have much time.
you're
Just
talking
clear
about
it
the
out.
way that he's run with the portal of just like we ain't
At the
recruiting, we're just
beginning, man, I'm just going to get my guys. We're not going to go, I'll basically remove all the guys that don't fit your scheme if you go
oh,
coming in
I
here.
see.
I'll go get my guys now because I can. I can go get me 20 transfers and 22
I'm
transfers and
going
just make
to
a remake.
if I were a betting man, I would say that that is not going to catch on. because I can think of two very prominent teams that did that, and both of them kind of cheeks right now. So Colorado's not that. It seemed, I think Colorado got away with it because they had a Heisman winner on that team and a decent quarterback. And then I think Florida State got away with it for a little bit, i.e., one season. And there's no longevity behind it. So I think, if you're trying to, I think if you're a coach at that level and you're looking around and you're trying to say, how do I keep my job for as long as possible? That's not the way to do it. I think there's two extremes, right? There's the Dabos who are like, we ain't going to the portal ever. And then there's the Dion's is like, everybody's coming from the portal. And I think both of those have shown to have poor results.
All right. Philadelphia Eagles figured out a way. They just keep plugging away all the time.
Yeah, well, they keep fleecing people on trades. Yeah. Like, I don't know. The Philadelphia Eagles have done what. Look, Philly's GM. Everybody talks about like how good of a job he's doing, and I think it's great. However, I do think that the average fan could do his job and do just as well. And I say that because I think the rest of the GMs, they overthink it and they're trying to find, they're always trying to feel like they're the smartest guy in the room. And I feel like the Eagles GM is just like, hey, you know what? I'm not saying he doesn't watch film, but I feel like he could be there and just be like, hey, you know what? We don't need to really do all the scouting. Just go find me the best defenses in the SEC and the best offenses around the country and make me a list of their top 3 receivers on each one of those teams and their top 5 defensive linemen on each one of those teams. And hell, we can throw a dart and just sign these guys and we'll be fine. And I think that's kind of what they did. It was like the Eagles are just full of Alabama and Georgia players. And Saquon, and it's like, how do you miss on Saquon? Like, he was the best running back at the time. It was like they got dudes that just make sense.
Already do.
Right? And
I understand all that, but it's the money.
Like,
it's the money
pick
part.
Taco Charlton over TJ Watt? I don't know how that happens. How do you pass on Justin Jefferson? It's like, did you not watch the national championship game in 2019?
Yeah. Well, you said it. You overthink it. They're all. You could tell the difference between a offensive-minded GM. I'm making my sly remark on the offensive coordinators because they overthink shit sometimes and just run the play that works. Offensive guys don't do that. They try to trick everybody because they're smarter and they're better than everybody else. And you got general managers like that. That's basically what you said. You know.
Yeah, I think everybody's just trying to find their Jerry Rice from some no-name school somewhere, and your Wes Welkers from some no-name school somewhere, and it's like, bro, just go get.
Oh, because then you be known. You go down the history books as, man, I found this guy, man. I drafted Tom Brady, bro. Nobody knew.
Yeah, but they drafted Tom Brady late. Like, this is the one. Okay, so this is my last one. This is the one that always irritates me. How can you be a GM and watch that 2016 game versus Clemson and Louisville, where you had 2 Heisman caliber quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson? You watch that game go back and forth. Quarterbacks are playing lights out. Somebody has to lose. And then you get a top 5 pick and you decide, you know what? Mitchell Trubisky. That's the guy. Homeboy didn't make a bowl game. It's like, come on, just pick. And yeah, I know Deshaun didn't pan out for reasons off the field, but
they had the intel, bro. It was happening in college. I guess maybe they knew. They was like, don't do that.
So what about Lamar? Lamar's out here winning MVPs.
That's true. That's true. Well, all right. Well, enough of that. I know we went down a rabbit hole on that or whatnot, but I guess we better get back to the topic at hand. And Alabama, man. Well, first let me say I think we're a better football team than Oklahoma. Even while watching the film, you can see they were a better football team. But there are some circumstances just on the game flow and all that kind of stuff where things just went haywire for us and we got out of whack. Um, whether turnovers, run game, everybody's crying about all of it. But I think I've heard you say it enough too. It has a lot to do about field position as well when you do have those turnovers and you're trying to defend the short field. So maybe you hit on that a little bit. And what's that's like, even as a coach, but even as a player, when you miss a tackle on special teams, they punt the ball and you miss a tackle and then they run it for another 40.
Mm-hmm.
It just puts you in a bad spot. I know they got off the field that time. They ended up taking a field goal, but it's just little things like that. Something happens, right? Then you throw an interception, it goes back pick six, and momentum starts to change. People start uh, panicking, you know, all this kind of stuff. So let's dive into it a little bit, man, JT, and talk about it while we're showing some of this film, man. The board. I need to see if your drawing tool actually works. I saw a little green dot on the screen a little earlier. I don't know if you were
Oh, so
checking
that
and
makes sense.
trying
So
it
does that mean
again.
you can actually like see my cursor moving around when I do this?
I can.
Oh, okay.
Can.
Well, I'll try to not fidget. I didn't realize that people could see that.
Well, you only had it in the chat box, so it was a
Okay,
big
so
sore over
we're
there.
starting. This is defensive plays first. We've got
All right.
we picked four to look at here.
So let's talk about that before we get into it. How do you think defense has progressed since the beginning of the year, maybe week to week? How are your feelings about where Alabama defense is? Not DeBoer, but Womack was getting roasted early on last year and even early in this year. What
Yeah,
do you think
which
about
I
where
don't know.
they're
I
at now?
thought I thought it was wild then, and I even more say that it's wild now, right? Because we had talked about a couple of weeks ago, um, after Georgia, and I was talking about how like, hey, maybe those first couple of drives don't always go the way that we want it to go defensively, but like let them go in for halftime and come back, and they're basically just shutting people down. Is essentially how that's been going all year. But specifically, these past 2 weeks, and maybe I'll even go back to the South Carolina week. Um, I think the defense has held up their end of the bargain, probably even more so, um, because it was interesting. Because when I was setting up this stream, and I didn't put too much in the description box of this one, uh, on our channel, but I did look at the description box and the thumbnail that I put on our channel last week, and essentially I said that Alabama beat LSU despite the offense. The
Mhm.
offense against LSU felt like they were doing they were trying to keep LSU in the game,
Struggling. Yep.
and the defense was like, "Nah, we're just not having that." And that's how I felt this week, except for the offense took it a step further and decided not only are we just not going to score, we're going to hand over seven.
Gonna let them score.
Like, here you go. We're going to spot you seven, and defense come save us. And that's generally not how this works.
And we almost had a chance.
Yeah. And, I'm going to put, and he or she may be listening to this at some point in the future, but there was in this Alabama Discord, and somebody made a comment saying, all the people who are saying defense wins championships are mighty quiet this week. And I was just like, well, you hadn't heard from me yet. But my stance on that has always been like there's one thing that is objectively true. People don't like to hear it. Offensive coordinators don't like to hear it. But it is objectively true because of the rules of the game of football. You cannot win a game if you only fielded an offense. It's not possible. But you absolutely can win a football game if you only play defense.
Okay. And you're saying that because of how you can score or not score.
Yes. The defense can do everything the offense can do and stop people from scoring. The offense can only do one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, like when we're talking about defense winning championships, this is what we're talking about. I can't remember what year it was, but Cardinals, Bears, Bears scored 24 points on defense and won the football game, and they ain't scored no points on offense. Like, yeah, that's insane that happens, but the fact that can happen to me shows you how important a good defense is to a football team. And if that's not enough evidence for you, look at Texas Tech almost any year. Nobody knew who Patrick Mahomes was until he got to the Chiefs because they were scoring 66 points a game, but they were giving up 70. And they won 6 games, and everybody was like, who's this Patrick Mahomes kid? And then he goes to the Chiefs, and he's a very good quarterback, and they got a good defense, and they win 3 Super Bowls. And it's like, go figure. So that's my official stance on that. The other thing is, I don't know what the true numbers are over college football or even the NFL. Maybe I can look it up. But at least when I ran numbers at John Paul, I guess 2 seasons ago, what I found was if an offensive possession started on the plus side of the 50 going in, an offense scored about 65% of the time.
Pretty high.
If they started on the other side of the 50, minus side, they scored about 48% of the time. If they started inside their own 20, that number nosedives to like 28%. So turnovers on your own end of the field is killers.
Detrimental. Exponentially, because turnovers is one category that hurts you if you lose the turnovers, and then if you lose the turnovers on your side of the field, then it probably skews that number.
You get an extra possession. You lose a possession. You give them an extra possession, and they don't have to go as far. It's the being able to handle that first turnover inside, or not the first turnover, that punt that comes back inside the 30,
right,
and leave with a field goal is
strong.
Nothing short of a miracle.
That was strong. That was really strong. All right. Let's see. I don't know. No, I didn't pick any plays from that drive, I don't think, even though that was pretty good. So what we got here, this play is actually pretty good. I felt like they stole that out of our playbook, having that quads up there and deciding to shift out of it. Looks like Alabama does that all the time. First thing I wanted to show on this play is the point man down here on this bunch, trips, as JT has. Yeah, so we're talking about